I'm going to fool you. This has been going on for 7 years now, but I have to tell you that thanks to some of our local elected officials, Andre Jacques is here. Did I see Paul Tittle? No? Joe Libum? No? But they have all met with us recently, and we're really picking up momentum. Things are going to happen, I promise, and that's not April Fool's. So, a National Marine Sanctuary. The logo there is Wisconsin Schooner Coast logo. That's the logo that resulted as a part of the GEM grant the Wisconsin Maritime Museum brought in 2011 and 2012. Nearly $80,000 in state grant money. It's a great website. It promoted local businesses with more than 40 coupons for visitors. They could download it off the website. And when we've talked to NOAA, the National Atmospheric and Administrative Agency, or administration, they've expressed great interest in that name because it is the basis, of course, of what a sanctuary here would be all about, and that is the schooner heritage. Recent developments. What I tried to do here was just let you know what's happened most recently. I think some of you, how many of you got an email from me last week about the proposed regulations? And a lot of you responded. I want to thank you, as Connie and Karen and Diane. The part of the problem with the delay in this and why it has taken so long is that the process was that there had to be a designation from an existing list. Well, that list was more than 17 years old, and Wisconsin was not on it. So these proposed new rules will eliminate the site evaluation list, which means that NOAA could say, we've talked to people in Wisconsin, we've talked to people in Manitowoc, Sheboygan, Two Rivers, and we think this is a great place. And we can get the process started without having to go back and being placed on the site evaluation list. So we met with officials when I was at the tourism conference. Senator Libum was kind enough to also bring in the deputy administrator of the DNR. And that's important because the DNR seemed to be just a little overly cautious about this. They didn't want to elevate the issue to the governor until they had all these questions answered. But Senator Libum found an opportunity for me to speak to the deputy secretary, and I tried to make the point that the issues would be flushed out and identified in the environmental impact statement. That's a process that I'll explain here shortly. Stephanie Klett is probably the best thing that ever happened to tourism in this state. I have to tell you, I asked Senator Libum for a Senate resolution to appoint her secretary for life. Like, baby Dr. Follier and Haiti. I think she's just awesome. When I talked to her about this, she kept saying to me, Norma, this is huge. This is huge. And she is funny, despite the fact that they wouldn't put her in the commercial. She's very funny. So the next step is we need the governor to invite NOAA in to designate our waters as a potential site and to start the environmental impact statement process. So many of you gave me letters of support for that, and those are now in a nice package. In fact, Secretary Klett gave us a letter of support. And you'll see some of the letters of support in just a minute here. Tourism is economic development. Well, Jason gave you a lot of background information on that. National marine sanctuaries are at the top of places people go. How many of you have been to Alpena, Michigan? Oh my word. I have been to Alpena. I went for the grand opening of their National Marine Sanctuary. In case you don't know, it is at the very tip top of Michigan, about a 45-minute drive from the Mackinac Straits, east. So it's not an easy place to get to. There's no major highway. You're on a 2-lane, windy road. It's a pretty hard scrabble town that was hit hard in the early 2000s by a recession. And they didn't have a lot going on there. Today, they are drawing 100,000 visitors in their summer season to the National Marine Sanctuary. National Marine Sanctuaries offer not only tourism's economic development, but educational opportunities. So all of the educational programs that we have at the Maritime Museum, all of the programs in the schools would benefit from this. When I was in Santa Barbara, we had the National Marine Sanctuary Channel Islands there. And if you all have watched the Titanic specials, Bob Ballard, he was there. We had him on one of the largest flat screens, talking in real time to our students in the museum while he was diving and talking to divers out of the Channel Islands. So they offer incredible opportunities. Of course, that was televised. Tourism as economic development again. There's Alpena, Michigan. We've got so much more going here already than Alpena. We've got wonderful beaches. We are on a main route from Chicago, Milwaukee, large population centers, already going up to Lambeau Field, already coming here to our community. We attract visitors from all over the world at the Maritime Museum. With the synergy that's created by all the amenities we have, by Badger, and a potential visitor center for a National Marine Sanctuary, we could easily be drawing over 250,000 up to 500,000 people. This is just something we've got to drive to completion and get done. And think about what those people spend. Nights in hotels, all of the things that Jason mentioned. And the lovely thing is that all of those dollars promoting it don't have to be ours. NOAA promotes those in a wonderful way. Right now, there are companies in Europe, sort of extreme sports. You know, everything is extreme nowadays. They have extreme diving trips that come all the way from Europe to Thunder Bay National Marine Sanctuary. Why? Because our shipwrecks are incredible. They're in cold water. There are no worms. There are no microorganisms that you find in salt water that attack them. And I'll show you some photos coming up here. So the impact of all of those, 250,000 visitors, all of those things we know about. And it is more than tourism, too, because the very things that make us a place that people want to come to and visit make us a place where people want to live, where businesses want to relocate, because there's a lot going on. We have a lot to offer. A thriving tourism economy elevates our quality of life. Everybody's. Whether you're a tourist, whether you're a resident, a new business seeking to come here, retaining employees. Just a little bit about what an EIS is. If any of you have observations about this, as the DNR seemed to, an environmental impact statement is a decision-making tool. It involves all of the key players in the decision-making. So you don't need to worry about being left out of this. The lovely thing about these is that everybody is brought to the table. Governmental officials, private businesses, private citizens. You identify issues, the impacts of that project, whether it's on the environment, historic and cultural sites, which ours would be because the shipwrecks are considered cultural sites. Technically, they're called submerged cultural resources. So the next time somebody says to you, what's a shipwreck? You can say, a submerged cultural resource. Identification of a range of alternatives. So all the ways in which this area might be identified, all the ways in which boundaries might be drawn, all the communities that might be included, the types of management, even things like advertising and marketing be brought up and further defined. And then there is a range of alternatives described, including none of the above. So there would be public meetings, the opportunity for you to stand up and speak about what you envision when you think of the National Marine Sanctuary, and written comments are welcome too. So we now have a resolution from both cities. I want to thank Mayor Nichols and Greg Buckley and the councils of those cities Everybody came on board. They were unanimous, I think, were they not? Yes. So this is really wonderful. We've got letters of support from Stephanie Kleck herself, the University of Wisconsin at Manitowoc. We've got the Chamber, of course, and Karen, Connie at EDC, the Badger, Northeast Wisconsin Great Lakes sport fishermen, Susie Q and the LeClaire family, even commercial fishing, and Schooner Dennis Sullivan. So I'm going to wind this up really quickly here. What I want to do is just show you a few of the photos, and you can get a sense of why people want to come here, why we would attract divers from all over Europe, South America, all over the world. This is the treasure that lies beneath our waters. The Francis Hinton, just 19 feet deep off Mariner's Trail. So again, we've got Mariner's Trail. That's already in place. You can take a kayak, you can take a snorkel out there and see the remnants of this ship. Learn incredible things about how our schooners were constructed. The schooner Home. This one is incredible. Off the coast near Centerville, from Manitowoc to Chicago when it was sunk, having collided with another ship. So you can see that damage, you can see the name boards on a lot of these, you can still read them. And of course, the most famous one of all, as they said about Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Our Christmas tree ship. And this is in Two Rivers. And Two Rivers, as we know, had a very successful 100-year commemoration last year. This will keep that going. This will share it with people all over the country. So, I invite you to visit NOAA's site, visit all of the National Marine Sanctuaries, and think about what that would be like to have one in our backyard, our front yard, the lakeshore. I'd like to offer to any of you, if you'd like to get more involved with us, contact me. We'd be glad to see a whole group, a delegation formed to really drive this thing forward. And I think that Senator Libum and Stephanie are going to be talking to the DNR and to Rich Zipperer again soon. And we hope to see movement on this. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, probably the #1 National Marine Sanctuary Dummies 101 question. Because it would exponentially increase the potential number of visitors, what are the top 2 or 3 ways that marine sanctuaries try to capture non-divers? Is it glass-bottom boat excursions? What, I mean, my wife, if she was sitting here, would say, hey, I'll keep snorkeling and look at pretty fishies in Maui in a warm ocean, but I'm not going to scuba Lake Michigan to look at shipwrecks. If I'm going to look through the bottom of a glass-bottom boat, maybe. So how do you get the non-divers?
Well, this is what's really wonderful. We talked about opportunities for private businesses. There is a glass-bottom boat business that has started in Alpena. So this is an opportunity for private business to take advantage of that. The other way, Charlie, is through technology. We have the ability to send divers out and then to have it on the screen, perhaps even on an app on your iPad or your iPad mini, where you can be seeing what they're doing. You can ask them questions in real time. In the museum, we would bring groups in and children in, schedule it to coincide with a dive, an exploration, and you can talk to those divers in real time. So there's lots of ways, and technology is making it ever more and more accessible. Anything else? I've got extra copies of this presentation if any of you would like them. The other thing that I brought along that's on your table is the letter about Badger, the recent news about their consent decree, and opportunities for you to submit written comments. So please do take those away with you, support the Badger, and submit your comments. All the details are on there. And one more thing for businesses, we are having a Schooner Coast cardboard boat afloat on the 4th of July. Thanks to Mayor Nichols, we're now going to have a wonderful event along the lakeshore on the 4th. So if you're interested in sponsoring a cardboard boat contest, which can be a lot of fun, come on down, build a cardboard boat yourselves. Thanks very much.